The Stoics talked about a lot of paradoxes. This idea that the chief task in life is to have fewer wants, which means that the more stuff we have, the freer we are. There's also the paradox of wisdom, which is the more we learn, the more we realize how much we don't know. Epicurus says this: "The man who says he can understand things by himself without a teacher is like the vine which, though it has leaves, wants to be laurel, whereas the olive desires nothing more than to be itself." But one of the greatest paradoxes in all of Stoicism, in my opinion, is let go and have it. Let me explain. Marcus Aurelius writes in Meditations, "You could stop at any moment the things you are doing now, but continue doing them if you wish. On the other hand, you could begin doing the things you aren't doing now but choose not to." Then he continues, "And so it's in your control whether or not to do anything you choose, but if you choose to do something, it's in your control not to be distressed about it." He's getting at the fact that we're always making these calculations. Should I go to this party or not? Should I take this job or leave my current one? Should I marry this person or not? And every decision that we make comes with some level of regret. If we decide to go to the party, then afterwards we wonder, maybe I should have stayed in and finished that book. If we decide to take a new job, we'll later think, oh man, I miss my old team. If we say yes to one thing, there's an implicit no to all of the other things we could have done instead. So the key, according to Marcus Aurelius, is that you can choose to do any of these things without being distressed about it. You can let go of the idea that you are giving something up because you're gaining something else. In that sense, you already have it. This is why the Stoics talk about not regretting the past and not worrying about the future. What's happened, let it happen. What hasn't happened yet, it may or may not happen. Either way, it's irrelevant. This idea of let go and have it shows up all over the place. It's in the serenity prayer. Grant me the serenity to accept the people I cannot change, courage to change the one I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. It's even in Buddhism. It's called the art of letting go. But the idea can be hard to pin down, so let's try to flush it out a little bit. Let's talk about the art of letting go. So here's a little story from the philosopher Pliny the Younger. One day he was hanging out with his buddy Sura, who was very wealthy, and they were walking through the streets of Rome when suddenly Sura stopped in his tracks. His eyes locked onto a beautiful bronze chariot that was being pulled along by 4 horses. It was all shiny and ornate, just, really flashy. And Sura turned to Pliny and said, "That's what I want, that's what I desire." And he immediately started yelling at the driver to get it over to his house. Now, after the chariot arrived, Sura proudly showed it off to Pliny. "Look how awesome this is," he said. And Pliny looked at it and replied, "Do you see how ridiculous you look?" And Sura was confused. He's like, "What do you mean?" And Pliny said, "The chariot looks great where it's going, but you're blocking the view of everyone behind you. Everyone's trying to see it, but because of your body, they can't." And Seneca says that Sura was embarrassed and sad and ended up selling the chariot right away. I tell this story because I think it makes a larger point about our desires. We all want to make our lives better, sure, but sometimes our efforts come at the expense of others, at the expense of our own happiness, or at the expense of our goals. Maybe you want a fancy car, but buying that car means you have to work 60 hours a week to pay for it. So maybe you want to buy a big house, but taking care of that house means you never have time to hang out with friends or family. The Stoics would say that these are all examples of being blocked by your own body, like standing in front of the chariot, preventing yourself from seeing what's in front of you. The solution, according to Seneca, is to focus on the goal, not on the chariot. "Don't look at the size of my house," he said. "Look at the size of my garden." When you start focusing on the wrong things, on the body rather than the view, you lose sight of what really matters, the things that bring you lasting happiness and fulfillment. In fact, Seneca talks about this at length in his essay on the shortness of life. He starts by pointing out that we spend our whole lives pursuing things in the future, thinking that these things will make us happy, but we rarely ever do. We constantly keep postponing our happiness, he says, until we finally realize that we wasted our whole life. Seneca wrote this right around the year 65 AD, right before he got executed by Nero. He knew that his own death was on the horizon, that his time was running out, and he was able to reflect on his entire life. He had seen a bunch of friends die. He had seen political enemies rise and fall. He had experienced the highs and lows of Roman life. And what he concluded was that most people waste their lives by postponing happiness. They put off dealing with problems. They avoid making decisions. They run away from responsibilities because they're afraid that these things will make them unhappy, that they'll disrupt their comfortable lifestyle. And so they stay safe and they stay scared. But ultimately, Seneca realized that these people are no happier than anyone else. They're just full of regrets. We should listen to him. We should look at what we're doing right now, our habits and our behaviors and our choices, and ask ourselves, am I postponing my happiness? Am I holding myself back by being attached to things that don't matter? The Stoics would say that if we let go of those things, we would find that we already have it, that we're actually free. But isn't that just a cop-out? I feel like this idea of let go and have it is a bit nihilistic. Like it feels like you're giving up or settling. But the truth is that the Stoics aren't suggesting that we give up. They're suggesting that we double down. Marcus Aurelius writes, "You could continue doing the things you are doing now, but continue doing them if you wish, and you could begin doing the things you aren't doing now, but choose not to do them." To me, that implies that we should do the hard work, that we should pick up our head and push forward. But at the same time, the Stoics are also right that we shouldn't be attached to outcomes, we shouldn't be distressed. And so, I think the best approach is to do everything we can and then let go of the results. I know that this can be hard to hear, but in many ways we don't control what happens to us. We control how we react to what happens, and that's what's important. So what can we let go of right now? What are we holding on to that doesn't actually help us get any closer to our goals? I'm not sure exactly what that is for each of you, but maybe it's perfectionism, maybe it's procrastination, maybe it's fear of failure. But whatever it is, if we can let go of it, if we can stop blocking the view, then we will have it.